Good morning and wishing you a fabulous Thursday ahead. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Well. Stocks bounce back, oil down, gold up. Earnings from Chipotle and Las Vegas Sands. Bank of Canada starts to taper. Those are the three things that we will talk about. Stocks bounce back after 2 consecutive days of declines. Investors had recently put the brakes on what had been a furious rally in stocks in the recent weeks, leaving the major indexes hovering near records. Some of the caution eased on Wednesday as stocks jumped and recouped some of their losses. The S&P 500 gained about 0.9% with gains accelerating later in the session. The Nasdaq was up 1.2% and the Dow was up 0.9%. Energy and financials helped lead the S&P 500 higher, while the Russell 2000, which is the small cap index, climbed about 2.4%. Treasuries were little changed, keeping the 10-year yields hovering around the 1.56 mark. Dollar largely weakened against the G10 basket, with the loonie spiking as the BOC became the first major central bank to taper. Asian equity futures are in the green. Oil prices have fallen to their lowest level in a week, with the WTI falling more than 2% to $61 a barrel amid a surprise build in US crude inventories and renewed pandemic-propelled demand concerns. The latest EIA report showed the US crude inventories increased by about 0.59 million barrels last week, while gasoline stocks also grew. On top of that, concerns over rising coronavirus infections, especially in India, and their impact on global fuel demand spooked investors. On the supply front, Tehran might see sanctions lifted and more Iranian barrels could return to the market if negotiations to revive the 2015 nuclear deal are successful. Moving on to gold. Gold was last seen trading above 1790 on Wednesday, a level not seen in 8 weeks, spurred by safe haven bids stemming from rising infections across different countries from India to Japan. Adding to the bullish tone, demand from China has bounced back from low levels, with Beijing permitting domestic and international banks to import large amounts of gold into the country. Elsewhere in Europe, European stocks held on to gains on Wednesday, with sentiment being supported by strong quarterly earnings results from ASML, Heineken, Kering and Roche. At the same time, German fashion house Hugo Boss jumped to a one-year high following the release of a media report of a takeover interest in the company. On the US front, the best performing stocks were Norwegian Cruise, which was up 10%, and Carnival, which was up about 6.3%. Chipotle reported the first quarter highlights are as follows. Revenue increased 23.4% to about 1.7 billion. Comparable restaurant sales increased about 17.2%. Digital sales grew 133.9% and accounted for 51% of sales. Super strong contribution from the digital side, and restaurant level operating margin was healthy at 22.3%, an increase of about 470 basis points. Some comments from the CEO. Chipotle is off to a great start in 2021 thanks to our employees and their incredible level of collaboration and tireless dedication, said the CEO. As vaccines roll out and we get closer to moving past this pandemic, he believes that Chipotle is well positioned for growth. I am excited about our future and we remain focused on innovating in culinary, leading in food with integrity and providing convenient access inside our restaurants and through our expanding digital ecosystem, is what he remarked. Las Vegas Sands also posted a slightly smaller loss than expected on revenue that fell by almost 600 million. The company said pandemic-related travel restrictions, particularly in Macau and Singapore, continue to limit visitation and hinder the current financial performance. On to central bank action. A surprisingly hawkish BOC goosed the loonie. Tiff Macklem's policy board not only pared back asset purchases to 3 billion Canadian dollar from 4 billion as expected, it signaled earlier rate hikes, citing a stronger than expected rebound. Tightening could come as early as next year, compared with earlier guidance pointing to no action before 2023. Canada's currency reversed course and jumped almost 1% on that news. Coverage from Bloomberg says that don't expect such excitement from ECB today. The Governing Council is unlikely to change the balance of risk in its statement from its March meeting, and a full assessment of the pace of asset purchases won't happen until June. No rate change is anticipated either, but traders are pricing a Euribor fixing above 0% by 2023. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.